two big pillars of the Planet franchise are creativity and simulation. These are the things that really bring these games to life. And in Planet Zoo, we're trying to push these elements even further. In Planet Zoo, your creativity will actually matter. It will be a big part of your gameplay. You creating a habitat that looks really nice, but is also perfectly suited to the animal's needs, is going to be your focus point. For us, it's really important that in Planet Zoo, the player is able to create a modern zoo in every way possible. And that leads back to how we treat the gameplay in the simulation as well.
Part of being a modern zoo is putting your welfare of your animals first. It's about the conservation efforts and protecting the wildlife of the planet. And we've kind of fed that back into Planet Zoo, and a lot of the kind of core systems and technology that drives the game is driven behind this belief.
I think what players are really going to find exciting about this game is the limitless possibilities that we've given them to create their zoo. Some people want to dive in and just start creating a zoo. Other people really want to get in depth and see literally how far they can go in terms of using the piece-by-piece system. And this game gives a lot of freedom to everyone of any ability.
Players' creativity will be, as we'd expect from a Planet game, all done piece by piece. Every little detail, from being a bin to a window to the interiors of our habitats, the player will be able to take complete control of these and do what they want.
To help the player develop his creativity, we also created different themes. The European theme is inspired by Victorian and classical French architecture, so we have French and British inspirations. The North American one is much more modern and inspired by North American architecture. We have the African theme that is inspired by the South and Middle Africa. It's very rich in colors and is a blend of nice materials and wood. We also have the core theme that is much more functional and can blend with literally any theme.
This kind of creativity that we're really trying to push in Planet Zoo is not just about the environment and the scenery, but it's also about the habitats for your animals and the creativity that you can express in building these.
Habitats are another way that players can expand their creativity. Obviously, you want to make this suitable for your animals, basing it on their welfare and what their needs are. But you've also got creative control over how this looks and how this feels, how your guests interact with it, and how your animals will too. So if you do want to place scenery items in there, your animals are going to react to the items that you place in there. You've got to be aware of what things animals might be able to climb, get up on, and interact with in that way.
I don't think there's a better example of the animals being connected to your creation than climbing. I think that is the pinnacle. I've never seen a game that's a sandbox environment that has animals able to climb on a structure that the user has created.
When you start building a habitat, one of the first things you'll want to do is look up the animal's information. Check how much space it wants. Does it want a lot? Does it want a little? And then you can start by blocking out your habitat using the habitat walls.
You have a huge range of habitat boundary walls that can get placed. So you have really heavy-duty walls such as brick and concrete and gabion walls. We also have glass perimeter walls. We also have one-way glass, which is flippable, so you can give the animal some privacy. There are multiple materials that can be coloured, so you can theme areas, you can zone areas, and you can lay out distinct elements within your zoo.
Players have to build a habitat that is good for the guests to see the animals, but at the same time, you don't want the animals to be stressed by being exposed too much. So we've made this great piece of tech called the visibility system, where we look around the habitat, into the habitat, and find where is the most exposed areas. The animals can take that visibility information and they can go to places where they know they're not going to be exposed to humans.
And this is just the basic kind of taking care of your animals. You want to make sure that they're enriched, and this is something that modern zoos really try to do nowadays.
Enrichment is something that modern zoos do to help animals avoid boredom or to stimulate them in a way that's very akin to what they'd get in their natural environment. We've really looked into what sort of enrichment items zoos create for their animals, because most of them are actually bespokely made, and we provide them in our game for the player to deploy and enrich the lives of the animals.
When you look at the giraffes, they have enrichment feeders. They have a 45 centimeter long, fully prehensile tongue, and they need to use it. So they build these long cylinders with holes in them, and they have to get in there with their tongue to get to the food. Because they have to work for their food, we consider this enrichment, and it's good for their welfare. And we try to apply this to all the animals that we have in our zoo.
Creative and simulation kind of plays together in Planet Zoo in a much greater way than any of our previous titles. We have the most detailed simulation that we've ever made for a Planet game. We have things like the animal memory system, where animals walk around their habitat and learn about things, so that if you change their habitat, if you move their food away from the place it used to be, they're going to go to the old place and look for it. They're going to have to explore and find things. They don't just magically know where everything is.
One of the things we do that's a little bit crazy is we generate a unique nav mesh for every single animal based on their size and their height and what sort of slopes they can navigate. For example, elephants don't like navigating up big steep slopes. Their joints don't really work very well for that scenario. So, if you build a habitat that has a big feeder at the top of a hill, the elephant's not going to be able to navigate it, whereas a lemur's habitat, you could build that same hill and the lemur can happily get up to the top of that hill to eat from.
Ultimately, we allow the player to do whatever they want in the game. They can build the zoo of their dreams, but it all comes back to it creating a modern zoo, a zoo that works for the animals.
It's really important for animals to have just the right amount of space and the right environments to thrive. And it's going to be up to the player to marshal those resources and actually be custodians of the environments, not just for the animals, but for the guests. We need to share these spaces, and it's going to be actually a really interesting experience for people to find out how best to do that.
What we really wanted to achieve with Planet Zoo is to give players the best opportunity to create their dream zoo. I really hope that players will pick up on all of the small details that we've added, as well as the endless creativity that we're trying to add with all of our scenery, our habitat creation, deformation tools. I think players are going to have a lot of fun creating, sharing and learning with us.